Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and we are back with your Burnley preview. I hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas and you're all looking forward to a better new year. Let's hope so. Thanks for all the support on the transfer video. It's the first transfer video of the season, really. Well, the January season, anyway, let's say. Go check that one out if you haven't already. And we're going to get on to the Burnley preview. We've had Marcelo Bielsa's press conference. We've had Burnley playing Manchester United last night, and we've kind of got an idea of how they're going to set up, in my opinion. And we're going to go through absolutely everything today. So stay with me throughout this journey. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're getting your comments in the section below. I'll try to get to them as much as possible. As I say, guys, I am going to get into a few things with regards to the preview. So yeah, stay tight with me here. Hi, Connor, says Phil. Hello, Phil. Yo says all. Irene says, yes, Connor, how you doing? Hope you're all doing really well. Afternoon, morning, Connor says Mockingbird Media. Afternoon says, mate, I'm just gonna call you Tash. Yeah, I know you're always here on my videos, so thank you for your support, but I just can't read that name out. Gordon comes in and says, morning, Connor, we definitely need a win. Burnley looks okay against Man United. So, yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So, Burnley, 1-1 draw, imagine. 3-1 loss last night against Manchester United. A fair few players out because of injury and COVID. I think it was 7 altogether, which, to be fair to them for the performance that they put in, it was very decent from Burnley. And we've played them 3 times now, and how I would describe this game is it's an attritional war against Burnley. I think it always has been. I think even the 4-0 victory we got down there, I think it was a brilliant win by Leeds. Leeds were absolutely exceptional in terms of efficiency, unbelievable. But Burnley were well in that game, and I'm not 100% sure it was a 4-0 win. You know, Burnley, we'll get the stats up for that later on. It was 16 shots for Burnley, 16 shots for Leeds, similar on target as well. And the other 2 games have just been absolute battles, haven't they? A 1-0 win at Ellen Road, which was backs against the wall stuff, controversy, you know, Burnley scoring it, getting ruled out, and the Patrick Bamford penalty, which Sean Dyche was very unhappy about. And then obviously we had the 1-1 earlier on this season, which it was a tough game, a really, really tough watch. And you know exactly what you're going to get from Burnley. Their style of players, we know it's long balls, but it's a lot of crosses as well. Their overperformers this season have been Dwight McNeil and Loughton on that right and left hand side. What they like to do is control the game in the opposition's half. We even saw that with Manchester United last night. They apply the high press, and we're going to get onto that in a little bit as well. And you wouldn't expect that from Burnley, but they do apply the high press and recover the ball very, very high up. But they love having control in the opposition's half, and they trust themselves in those situations. And even against the top teams like Chelsea, where they've got a result earlier on this season, you do see Burnley doing that. I think the consistency of the lineup for Burnley's always been a big, big plus as well. You know, the likes of their entire back 4, Charlie Taylor, Ben Mee, Tarkowski, Loughton, and normally Pope is a figure throughout the entire season, really. There's barely any injuries. There's always Brownhill or Westwood in and around that central midfield space, and Chris Wood's got a decent injury record. So Burnley always have a very, very decent spine of their team consistently, which, as we know with Leeds United fans, like we saw last season, that cohesion, those partnerships are absolutely vital in not only staying in the division, but you know, forming these good partnerships which are going to have output toward the end. So yeah, I think what we've seen from Leeds United this season is our finishing outside Rafinha has been remarkably poor, which has been backed up by the goals and assists from elsewhere in the team. We are just so heavily reliant on the Brazilian. There is sloppiness within both sides. I think we've seen that this season. Burnley have given up Leeds. Leeds have obviously given up Leeds. But I think the big one in this game, I think the key thing is going to be Leeds not being as sloppy as they have been, because Burnley, with that high press, being high up the field, trying to control the game in Leeds United's half, as we saw at Ellen Road. If Leeds are sloppy in this game, the statistics would back up that we're not going to get punished, because Burnley aren't scoring that many goals. But there is also a significant likelihood that Maxwell Cornet is going to be back for this game, who is obviously Burnley's top scorer. So Dean said, in Bielsa we trust. We need to be up for this one. I agree, Tash, 100%. Be thrilled with a draw. Burnley just stopped them getting 3 over us. Joe has come in and said, need to be clinical and try to get a few goals to help out the goal difference, because especially in the relegation, they count as extra points. It's a really good point, Joe. And I don't think a lot of people are taking that into account. You know, you look, let's say, at this Burnley team, and they've only lost 2-0 at Man City, lost 2-0 at Liverpool, drawn away at Chelsea, 1-1. You know, got draws 0-0 away at Wolves as well. And they're keeping that goal difference down. Whereas at the minute, when we are going to these sides and we are shipping a lot of goals, that 100% does act as an extra point. You look at the season when we went up, the season when we didn't go up, sorry, when Sheffield United pipped us to the post, all we were talking about is goal difference and have Sheffield United scored this amount of goals, Leeds need to score more goals, all this sort of stuff. So we were all looking at goal difference then. It does play a massive, massive factor in relegation and promotion races, 100%. So let's get into it, shall we? And this is sort of the likely team. The team news, anyway, guys, is that we've seen today. That I'll flash it up in a second. But what we've seen is that Pascal's going to be out for this one, which I was massively disappointed over, because I think Pascal in all 3 games, which I've got written down here, Pascal's been absolutely superb. In the 1-0 win, the 4-0 win, and the 1-1 draw, he's been fantastic. He's averaged an 8 in all of those 3 games, Pascal. I've done a little bit of an average across all the player rating sites that I can find, YEP, Leeds Live, 90 minute. And Pascal's averaging an 8 in those games. You look at Calvin Phillips as well. In those games, Calvin has been averaging an 8 as well. You know, absolutely fantastic performances from Calvin and Pascal in these games. And another shout out as well to Liam Cooper, who in 2 of these games when he's played has been absolutely phenomenal. What's the problem there? None of them are going to be fit. I think out of the cohort of players that we have, the players who are sort of up for the physical battle and are very efficient and good in these physical battles with sides like Burnley, those 3, whatever you think of Liam Cooper, who is thrown into the mix there, is fantastic against these sort of teams. He loves the physical battle. Pascal's been brilliant against Burnley in the 3 games we played. In Calvin, I would argue the 1-0 game at Ellen Road when Calvin was unbelievable was on par with his Everton performance at Goodison. I would say it was one of his top performances ever for Leeds United. So I think that physicality in the midfield is going to be hugely, hugely missed. So Pascal's out for this one. Bamford is healthy, Bielsa says, which you would hope would get him on the bench for this game. But Jack Harrison is back. I didn't even know Jack was injured, to be honest with you. Junior Firpo's back. Dan James is back. And Llorente is back for this one as well. So some players out, which obviously you'd love to be in for this one based on what I've just read out. But, you know, at least we do have some players back for this game in particular. Expecting Gora said, as much as most of us wanting Cooper out, he's really missed. Yes, his leadership as well. I think his leadership in games like this is going to be huge, you know, conducting, orchestrating that back 4 in the midfield in front of him. But Cooper, since he was at Chesterfield, Cooper, these sorts of games he's very good at. He's very good at. There's an argument that for the more technical games, Cooper has been lapsed, especially concentration-wise. I completely understand that. But in the physical games, you know, from Chesterfield onwards in his career, he's been absolute, and obviously Leeds, his entire career at Leeds, he's been very, very good in those sorts of games. Calvin thrives off those sorts of games, and Pascal's been very, very impressive. So they're going to be huge, huge misses. Mark Towno, Happy New Year. Connor, yeah, Happy New Year to everybody out there. Love the content. Connor, keep up the great work. Thank you, buddy. If you haven't already, guys, make sure you're liking the video. This is going to be a really extensive preview, and I've done a lot of work for it. So make sure you're doing that. So that's the team news, guys. So what are we looking at for this game now? With Jack Harrison, apparently was injured. I didn't really know that, to be quite honest with you. He's back, apparently. But in a sort of strange way, the depth is great because we've got a little bit more quality in depth there. But with Jack Harrison, it almost, because he's back for this one, stumps up another conundrum, stumps up another sort of problem, in my opinion, for what Leeds are going to start with in this game. So let's flash it up. So I think this is going to be the likely team for the game. I think naturally we're going to go to a 3-3-1-3, because obviously Burnley play with the front 2. Now, I think this is sort of going to be what we're looking at for this game. A lot of changes since when we played Burnley last time. I think we're going to see a back 3 with Luke Ayling, Robin Koch and Diego Llorente. Obviously, Robin Koch, I don't actually think he started against Burnley ever in his Leeds United career. Junior Firpo looks like he's going to be at left back or left wing back, if you want to call it. Stu probably going to go on the right-hand side if Ayling comes into the centre-back capacity with Cresswell and Struijk and Cooper all out. That's probably looking likely. Forshaw in that DM role. It's going to be a huge game for Adam because I think the physicality of this game and the blueprint that Burnley play at, Adam's got to be on point. And I do worry a little bit for the knocks and the niggles and the injuries for this one with Forshaw. You know, if he's going to pick up anything, it's going to be in this game. And that's, you know, it's the threadbare nature of the squad, which I think Leeds just simply have to improve on. But Forshaw in the DM role, I would like to start Roberts a little bit further up, to be quite honest with you, probably over Matthias Click. I think Roberts' performances have definitely warranted that. And I think him carrying the ball in this game is going to be key. Raf on the right. And this is what I was talking about. It's not what I want, guys, but this is what I think is going to happen. These two here, I actually wouldn't be starting Jack Harrison at the minute. I think Jack Harrison's form is out of the window. I don't think he's been good at all this season. Whether or not the crowds are affecting him, I'm not sure. This was always something put at Jack Harrison last season. Can he perform like this consistently with crowds there? Obviously, because seasons before he wasn't able to do that in front of the home crowd and away crowds. But he's not been able to do it for me so far this season. I think Dan James on that left has been much better. You know, he should have won Leeds a large amount of penalties if the refereeing was on point this season. And I think he's been okay. I think he's getting better. He's improving. So Dan James, for me, will be on the left. He's not as efficient up front, and he's coming up against two towers like he did against Brighton when he really struggled up front. And this is what I think is going to happen, guys. I think we're going to see Jack Harrison on the left, Dan James up front. And I think this is where Leeds could struggle because I just don't think that's the way forward in this game. I think at least with Joffrey in there, he does enjoy the physical battle. He's going to drop deep, get the ball, run at the defence. Stylistically, I don't like Joffrey doing that. But I think in a game like this where he can run at the Burnley defenders who don't like being ran at, they love the aerial game. So if Joffrey can drop back and get the ball and then run at them, bring Rafa in, bring Jack Harrison, not Jack Harrison, but bring Daniel James into the game, I think that would be really advantageous. But I think we're just going to see Leeds trying to sort of play the ball over the top to Dan James and it not working to good effect, which I think it's gonna harm us. Jack dribble back. Bamford needs to play. It looks like Bamford's not fit for this one, mate. He's healthy, apparently, whatever that means, but he doesn't like because he's not trained a lot. He's not played any under 23s, obviously. I don't think he's going to be playing for this one. A lot of people are saying they think he'll be on the bench. I actually don't think he'll be on the bench for this one. Nick says long balls to Dan James. Yeah, James up front is suicide. I completely agree. But I think this is what they'll do. I think this is what Bielsa will do. And Chris has come in and said that if we play James up front against Burnley, it'll be insanity. And I completely agree. It's never worked. And you only have to look at when he's done it against Brighton. When we've done it against Brighton, it's as I keep mentioning, stylistically, large centre backs, Dan James, that small diminutive player up front who's supposedly going to stretch that back line. It didn't work. It doesn't work, and that's why I would like to see Joffrey up front. To be quite honest with you, but you know, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's likely to happen. So, what else did I want to look at specifically in this video? Well, are Burnley going to cause Leeds problems? Well, statistically, yes, they will cause Leeds United problems. And I'm going to flag up a graphic in just a little bit that I saw on Twitter the other day, and I think it's a really good evidential piece of, you know, statistic that can level Leeds struggling in this game, and it is Burnley's turnovers. It's Burnley's occupation in the opposition half of the field, and how that can, you know, be problematic for Leeds. What's been the thing with Leeds this season? It's been sloppiness, right? It's been decision making. It's been able to retain possession, all of which last season we were a lot better at. I don't think we were amazing at, but we were a lot better. That was all sort of covered last season by the fact that we were just so efficient in front of goal, and we were converting all of our chances, and our XG was nearly on point. Now, this season, it's been very different. Leeds aren't scoring as many goals, like nowhere near as many goals. I mean, you look at the players that were scoring 8 and 7 and 8s last season, Stuart Dallas, Jack Harrison, you know, Matthias Click contributing. You know, our joint second top scorer are 2 players that are out injured and have been injured out for a fair period of time. Patrick Bamford, who's played 5 games, and Rodrigo, who is a central attacking midfielder, really, and needs to add more goals to his game. So my point is, guys, all of that was sort of covered by the fact that we're scoring goals, but Leeds haven't always been great in possession. They've been quite sloppy and they have been susceptible to the counter-attack. Now, this is a really interesting graphic that I found yesterday, and this is all about pressing volume and opposition teams being able to win the ball against Leeds United, against other oppositions, and their efficiency of doing so. As you can see here, there's a low volume and high efficiency where you've got the likes of Newcastle on that side. You've got the likes of Wolves as well, you know, teams that don't really deploy the high press. But in the middle, you've got teams that try to apply the high press and have sort of a mediocre volume of efficiency with regards to it. And look who's there. It's Burnley. And look who's sort of at the bottom. It's Leeds United. It's all based on final third pressures per 90 as well. So Burnley are very good at that, guys. And if you look at the final third turnovers there in the second graph, this is all about, obviously, like I've just said there, teams being able to recover the ball in the opposition half. Now, look at the 5 teams that are top. Okay, you've got Liverpool, who Leeds have really struggled against. Leeds have really struggled to keep possession against. You've got Manchester City there as well. 2 teams at the top there who are very, very good at what they do. But then, guys, look at the next 3. You've got Brighton, who, let's be right, if we're being completely honest with each other, Leeds were battered against. Southampton, who Leeds were battered against, and Burnley, who at the start of the season, for me, for 75 minutes, were by far comfortably the better team, which is backed up by reports, it's backed up by statistical analysis. So this is what I'm talking about here. So patterns and trends are what I always, discuss on this channel. This is Burnley's style of play, occupying possession in the opposition's half and having that high press, which we even saw against Manchester United last night, and having success there. The problem with Burnley is they've not been able to convert those chances. But someone like Maxwell Cornet being back at the weekend is definitely going to improve those chances. So we've got a donation here from Ashton Mills. We need to sign Renato Sanchez. He breaks the lines with his powerful running. Currently, Leeds don't have a player who can do that. Thanks for the donation, buddy. I can't deny that. Renato Sanchez would be an unbelievable signing. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying about that. If we lose, Bielsa will be under immense pressure. Yeah, I think from the fan base, a lot of people might sort of refer to that, to be honest. Forbidding Forrester said, just can't see how that team can do anything. We've seen it fail too many times. Gelhardt would just give us a glimmer of hope. I presume that's referring to the other one. Max has said the Ellen Road crowd is going to be crucial in this game. Phillips come out and said Maxwell is out. We don't know that, mate. I was speaking to a Burnley journalist before we did this game. He will remain unnamed. But there is a likelihood that Cornet is going to be back for this game. He wasn't back for the game last night, but that was well documented. But apparently Dyche is very, very sort of encouraged for him at the weekend. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. He might be on the bench, who knows? But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. He may not be fit, but from what I've heard, he could be. He could be fit for this one. As he said, there was a reason he didn't play last night. So yeah, that's a big way that Burnley can really affect Leeds in this. But Leeds can definitely affect Burnley. Of course we can. Our intense football, our style. But I've just not seen enough of it this season, and we need to see it over a 90-minute period because Burnley are going to be relentless, aren't they? We all know that. So Burnley's form anyway, so far, they've got a draw away at Wolves. This is sort of the December run. They've not had many games. Obviously, they lost at Newcastle, which was a pretty poor display, to be honest, from Burnley. I thought they looked completely ineffective in that one. West Ham was a really good result. And for me, Burnley could have nicked that one. And obviously, a performance last night against Manchester United where, 7 players out for Burnley. I thought in the second half in particular, they put up a really good fight. Aaron Lennon up front, Chris Wood up front, little and large. And I thought they were okay. Burnley, they occupied Man United's half, but obviously with Man United's quality, they're always going to destroy teams like Burnley with all those injuries out. But, Manchester United are a very different team from Leeds. You look at the results in there with West Ham, you look at the results in there with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and there are no goals, but they are good results for Burnley, aren't they? 2 teams in West Ham and Wolves who are occupying the top 8. So, what do we know from Burnley as well? And this is, we're just speaking to Phil about that. This is what we've learned from Dyche after the game. So speaking before the game, Dyche suggested Brownhill and Kevin Long were closer to a return from COVID than Nick Pope and Jay Rodriguez. Of the 4 who've tested positive. COVID, them two, Pope and Rodriguez, he was referring to. We have also had Josh Brownhill gone down as well and Kevin Long, but they're on their way back. So we are hoping 2, maybe 3 of them will be back for the weekend. So obviously this is after the game yesterday. A couple of them are coming to the end of their isolation protocol, so we're expecting a couple of them to be back for sure, and maybe the other couple, depending on a bit of testing, So, guys, this is all what we were just saying earlier with regards to potentially Cornet coming back. Are Burnley going to get the game called off? I highly doubt it with players coming back. Cornet, again, missed out, but he has the chance of featuring against Leeds. His final game before he leaves for the Africa Cup of Nations with the Ivory Coast at the bottom there. We might get Maxwell back around it. We have to see. Barnsley and Connor Roberts are too far away. So there you go. There is definitely a chance for Maxwell Cornet in this game. So yeah, I mean, we've touched on Burnley a little bit. We're going to look at Burnley's top performers in a little bit as well in comparison to Leeds' top performers. But this is what was said in the Leeds press conference anyway. We heard about the team news, but this is another snippet of information as well. Marcelo Bielsa was sort of asked about the extent of the injuries and the impact that's going to have on the transfer window. We've been recovering players, even if Phillips and Cooper will return in March. So we're going to get back to that in just a little bit, guys, the transfer window stuff. But that's another snippet, a snippet of information. Calvin Phillips is going to be out till March, which I had heard beforehand, but a lot of Leeds fans seem to think he was going to be back towards sort of the end of January, start of February. He's going to be back. He's not even going to be match fit by that point, in my personal opinion. When I read that and I hear that he's going to be back, that's just he's going to be back from his injury. Then he's got to get up to match fitness. So why it's absolutely critical. I'm not hearing all of this. Robin Koch should be in defensive midfield. Pascal Struijk should be in defensive midfield. Diego Llorente should be in defensive midfield. Forshaw's fine in defensive midfield. Leeds, for me, just simply have to go and get another defensive midfielder who is of that level, who is of that quality, that we can use long term. As I mentioned in my transfer video, Singare would be ideal. I don't know if it's realistic, dependent on budget, but Leeds just have to do something there for me. So they have to do something within the midfield, especially with Calvin being out for that period of time. We will see where we are in January if an alternative comes up that we can take advantage of. So there you go. Bielsa has sort of uttered that if there is an opportunity, Leeds will do it. I don't know whether or not that's just a stave off the media, and is that literal? Does he mean that Leeds are we actively looking, or is this just if an opportunity comes up 2 weeks down the line, like it did with Rafinha in the summer last year, Leeds will then jump? Are they looking now? Are they talking to players now? I don't get that vibe from what I heard from Marcelo Bielsa today, to be honest. Mockingbird Media has said that Calvin out will be an impact on our push for survival. Calvin's a really weird one because it's almost people have like forgotten about Calvin Phillips being out. It's a crazy thing, really. There was a reaction today on Twitter where everyone was really upset about the fact that he's been out for a period of time. But it seems like the Forshaw implementation in defensive midfield has sorted a lot of people's mental state out with Calvin. And I agree with that. But what if Forshaw does pick up a knock, which is likely, let's be right, looking at the trends and patterns of this team. And I just don't know if Adam Forshaw is of that Calvin Phillips level. And let's be honest, he's not, is he? He's not at that Calvin Phillips level in terms of that destroyer, in terms of distribution in that defensive role, in terms of screening that back four. I think Calvin Phillips is in his own stratosphere for that. He's made that role his own specialist role. So I think him being out is a massive, massive deal for Leeds United. And that's why I think January is so important. There's a way out of it, guys. There's a way out of it. But, they have to splash some cash, of course. So I don't know if you can see this one fully. But last time out, this was the full-time article that I read on The Guardian. With regards to Leeds United against Burnley, a 1-1 draw. Now, look at the positions there. It's very, very interesting, isn't it? Leeds and Burnley still occupying the bottom five there. Arsenal, bottom of the pile. Wolves as well in there. Palace have moved up significantly as well. But I think what I wanted to refer to here is the lineups, guys. You've got Nick Pope in there who's going to be out for this one. But that back four, once again, for Burnley, it's so consistent. So consistent. It's still going to be there. Goodmanson is likely to be starting in this one. Westwood's likely to be starting in this one. If what Dyche's press conference is true, Brownhill's going to be starting in this one. McNeil's going to be starting in this one. Wood's going to be starting in this one. So, when you look at the 11 that faced Leeds United last time out for Burnley, it's probably going to be Nick Pope who's going to be substituted for Wayne Hennessy, and then Ashley Barnes out for either Aaron Lennon or Vidra. So that, once again, we keep talking about this with regards to Burnley. This is evidence. They always have a consistent 11, really. 9 of them are always fit. Now, on the contrary, when you look at the Leeds United side, Melier is going to be in there. Llorente, Struijk and Cooper are going to be out for this one. Phillips is going to be out for this one. And then obviously you've got Rodrigo and Bamford out for this one. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that 11 last time out, where this was probably Leeds' strongest 11. going to be out for this one. And you know, you even look at the bench there, guys. Look at the bench and look how still quite weak it is and heavy under 23 presence in there. But it does look a lot stronger, doesn't it? You know, with the likes of Roberts on the bench, Forshaw, you know, Gelhardt's obviously going to be on the bench this time, but Shackleton. So Leeds looked a lot stronger last time out in terms of a lineup. Now, the interesting bit here is the full time, where it says full time Burnley won, Leeds United won, because a lot of people seem to have short-term memories about this game. On as even, but an escape for Leeds and 2 points lost for Burnley. 2 smart finishes, one from Chris Wood and another from Patrick Bamford from close range. The first points of the season for Burnley should have been more. Leeds did not quite tick as we were used to seeing last season. And that just end point, Leeds haven't ticked like they did last season. That's just been the whole, that's from Burnley, what, 3 or 4 games in? Now we're 19, 20 games in, and it's the exact same, isn't it? We haven't clicked. We're still of the you know, the problem zone of injuries and cohesion and all this sort of stuff, and not playing the Bielsa way and it not working properly. We're still in that mold right now. And Burnley, I thought that they were extremely unlucky. Dan Morrison has said that was really hoping Struijk would be back, will bring back better balance. Yeah, 100% would agree. Forshaw has been impressive this season. Yeah, 100% he has been impressive, but I would like to see someone next to Adam Forshaw, you know, to help him out, or you know, if Forshaw is going to be out for a period of time this season, who's going to be able to come in and replace him? I think, you know, you can't really compare Calvin Phillips and Adam Forshaw. They're completely different players. So, let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. I'm missing the Leeds high press. It doesn't seem to exist anymore. Yeah, I'd agree. Okay, so yeah, that's what happened last time out, guys. This is just a little bit of stats as well. You might not be able to see this, so I'll read it out to you. But the bottom one there is when Leeds United drew to Burnley 1-1 at the start of the season. 12 shots for Burnley, 12 shots for Leeds. And this is what I wanted to look at as well. Leeds 1, Burnley 0. 11 shots for Leeds, 14 shots for Burnley. And the one at the top as well, I believe, was the 4-0 victory as well, when you know, the stats were exactly the same. So what I'm trying to say there, guys, is the stats, the shots on target, Leeds have been very good in terms of winning the game, but the stats throughout are very, very similar. They're very, very tight games between the two. You know, the 4-0 was nowhere near a 4-0. Leeds were brilliant in terms of efficiency, as I've said at the start, but overall, it's a very, very close game between two sides. So what I wanted to look at as well was the Leeds performers this season in comparison to the Burnley performers. So the Burnley top performers here, look. We've got James Tarkowski, Dwight McNeil, Maxwell Cornet, Charlie Taylor, Nathan Collins, Lowton, Ben Mee, Nick Pope, and Chris Wood. And what stood out for me there is sort of the amount of sort of minutes these lads have had. You know, Chris Wood's been a big feature, as has Nick Pope really until recently. Ben Mee, Lowton, obviously you know, key presences. Nathan Collins, who's only sort of debutised really. You know, Cornet's only played 571 minutes and scored 5 goals and got and managed to get sort of 1.4 shots per game on target, which is very impressive. McNeil and Tarkowski. So what you're seeing there is in Burnley's top performers naturally are their consistent players as well. Interestingly enough as well, Burnley have scored 6 goals from set pieces this season, which is definitely going to be a target. Leeds' top performers here, Rafinha, naturally top of the tree, 8 goals, 1 assist. Liam Cooper, who's going to be absent from this game. Stuart Dallas, Elan Mele, Rodrigo, who's going to be absent from this game. Bamford, who's going to be absent from this game. Jamie Shackleton, who's going to be absent from this game. Calvin Phillips, who's going to be absent from this game. And Joe Gelhardt, who's likely to be on the bench. So this is what I mean, guys. I think it's going to be a lot tougher than people are expecting, this one. And I'm basing that purely, I hope I've evidenced in this video what I'm talking about. But it's the pressing numbers from Burnley in the opposition half, the recoveries in the opposition half, the consistency in their 11 that they have. You know, Maxwell Cornet looking likely to be back from what I've been told. It's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a really, really tough game, this one. And obviously, we look at last time Leeds United played Burnley. You know, it was, you know, they were the better team, weren't they? Let's be real. So I'm looking at a weaker Leeds side from when we last played out against Burnley, and we're sort of lucky in that game, as it's been evidenced there by the Guardian and other articles and us Leeds fans on the day. I'm looking at, like I've just said, the Leeds team being weaker this time out and the Burnley team being as strong. as last time out. That's what I'm looking at. And this one is for me, it's a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for Leeds United. Let me know what you think in terms of score predictions, guys. I would start. Joffrey says Mockingbird Media. Mike Davis has said Bamford on the bench would help, but would take a point now. Yeah, 100%. And interestingly, actually, Bamford, I think last time out, got a 5 out of 10 rating because he was just so isolated. You know, Burnley, as I said, were pressing high up the pitch. And this is what I want to do as well, guys. I just want to come on here and voice my opinion without any backing. As I've done in this video, it's all backed up by, you know, statistics or, you know, what people have said in really good positions and all this sort of stuff. It's not just me frivolously saying this. You know, it's backed up by results. It's backed up by metrics, performances. Let's have a look at what Joe said. And not an attacking threat anymore. The chances are far and in between. A team like Burnley is so negative. They play for a draw and hit you on the counter. That's exactly what's going to happen in my personal opinion. I think Burnley are just going to wait and wait and wait. They're going to occupy, you know, possession in an hour and a half as well, and just look for that little bit of sloppiness that Leeds have been given away this year. Shadow Wolf has said Leeds 0, Burnley 1. Nicholas Griffin has said 2-0 Leeds United. Phillips said 3-1. Cornet is another player that Leeds missed out on. Yeah, I would agree there, David. I think we spoke about that on the rumour mill. Max has gone with another nail biter, Barnsley style 1-0. That's exactly what it was when we played Burnley at Ellen Road, wasn't it? It was the 1-0. It was the Calvin Phillips show. We were a little bit lucky with the penalty. You know, Burnley maybe were a little bit unlucky with that goal that got chalked off for them. Nicky Mitchell's come in with a 2-1. All sort of realistic scores, guys. I think you're all sort of saying that it's going to be close. I'm not seeing any 8-0s or 7-0s or anything like that. I hope I've come on here and given you a little bit of evidence. Roy said 1-1. I think Leeds definitely have aspects where we can hurt Burnley. I think we've had aspects where we can hurt Watford. We've had aspects where we can hurt Norwich, aspects where we can hurt Newcastle. We've got aspects. It's just whether or not, like we saw in that Guardian report, Leeds are able to tick like they did from last season. Because from what I've seen so far, we're nowhere near the same levels with a whole host of players still out. 2-1 Leeds win. Let's have a look. Joffrey off the bench. Snoop Hoggy White. I hope you're right. To be honest with you, 3-0 win. Whatever the score, it's a must win. I agree. I think these games, you know, we target these home games. We spoke on the debrief about the home games being against all the bottom teams been massive for Leeds. Brentford didn't go the way that we wanted it to. That was in those cohort of games. We drew 2-2 there. Burnley is in this cohort of games. Make no mistake about it. This, for me, it's a must-win. For me, it's a must-win. A lot of people will take a draw. Listen, I'd take a draw, especially if we're losing in the game. But I think these home games are the games we've got to target. Because if we're not targeting these home games, what games are we targeting? You know, Wolves away, West Ham away, Tottenham away. You know, we're targeting these games. You know, our away record's not been great this season. So I think we have to pick up points against teams in and around us at home. You've changed my mind, Connor. Leeds 8, Burnley 0. Yeah, I hope you're right. Ghost of Bridges Pass says Burnley were absolutely crap in defence against Scum last night. Their only good player was Lennon. I'd probably disagree with that, to be honest, mate. I thought Burnley were all right. I thought they were good. 7 players out. I think you've got to apply context to that. 7 players out. They're going to have players back for the Leeds game. And I thought in the first half, I mean, they had let's, you know, on who scored and XG FB ref sort of metrics. You know, they had 2 big chances within the first 10 minutes, did Burnley. You know, if Chris Wood had scored inside 5 minutes, that game would have been completely different. And Man United just have that quality, don't they? Man United have that Ronaldo, Greenwood, Cavani all playing. I don't know if it's a case of... I think it's a case of Man United. You've just got to apply plaudits to them in that respect, even though I don't like doing that. But I think to say Burnley were crap, I think it's a little bit harsh. I thought in the second half they were good. I thought they were the better of the team, really. But there we go. Connor Walsh has said, I don't think Leeds are in must-win territory yet, but must not lose. I think Burnley at home, a team below us at home, I think it's a must-win, to be honest with you. I think teams in and around us, it's must-wins. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Make sure you comment in. I don't want to give my prediction for this one, because as I'm sure you've realised, listen, all I'm going to say is I'd be more positive if we were playing Watford, more positive if we were playing Newcastle, more positive if we were playing, you know, any of those other teams. I just think Burnley are going to be a big problem for us with our injuries out. So I'm not going to give a score prediction. I'm going to sit on the fence. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can gather my thoughts from this one. Have a good one, guys. Let's hope Leeds United can put a different performance in at the weekend and pick up the victory. Make sure you're liking and commenting in the section below as well. It's been a bit of an extensive one on this one. And I will see you in a bit, guys. Cheers.